It's North Pole and I need a palm tree. All right, let's move on to topic Tuesday. All right, guys, this is a great post again from our third year med student, Adam. And he, right off the bat, just basically said, uh, those of us that are in this polar
No,
vortex,
no, no, no. You will read
yeah.
all of Adam's words. That is your job. Don't go skipping down to the third paragraph. Begin again.
Well, then I have to use, and I'm going to have to like change my voice.
You can do the best.
Hi,
I know you
beloved
can.
friends, colleagues, and friends at Aortic Hope. Now, I hope you have been doing well since the last time we talked. For our members reading this in the Northeast, I hope you're bundling up during the blizzard, although there was really not much of a blizzard. For our conversation today, Adam wants to review aortic anatomy. This is when having aortic dissection, the patient guide would be handy. You could read along with us. Some of you have already downloaded this guide, and others of you have received a hard copy, hopefully from your physician. If not, you have had one sent to your home. But if you go to pages 13 and 14, this is a really great graphic of cross section of the aorta. So let's take a look at a couple things that you're going to see on these pages. This is an awesome graphic showing the human body and basically giving you a layout of the entire aorta. So as you see here, we have the aorta. I feel like we're recording this again for the audible. We're gonna not start here because I'm in charge, and we're gonna start here coming out of the heart. See right here, this is the ascending. We are ascending. We are going up. This section in and of itself is the ascending aorta in the thoracic aortic area. Thoracic meaning your chest. Other things in the thoracic area would be your lungs. Okay, so when people talk about thoracic, they're talking about your chest, just above your diaphragm. After the ascending aorta, you come around the bend of the arch. Remember, we described this kind of like a candy cane. So now we're coming up into the arch. Now, what we don't have noted in this particular graphic is there are vessels that branch off of the arch, and that's going to lead to like your carotids. These are the vessels that take that oxygenated rich blood and head it up towards your head. Remember, the entire aorta feeds your entire body with all of this oxygen rich blood. Coming down, it is descending. And when we talk about dissections, Dr. Ben Udelman said it great. A type A is an ascending a type B is descending. So again, anything that's after the arch is going to be your descending or type B dissection. So this is descending. You can still be in the thoracic area and have a descending. So you can have what's called a thoracic aortic aneurysm in the descending area. Okay, just because someone says thoracic doesn't mean ascending. It could be on this side of the heart, which is behind the heart, and that's descending. Let's move on into some more areas that I may mispronounce. Okay, just forewarning you. All right, this section here, which is now past the diaphragm, is called the suprarenal abdominal aorta. And the reason is because this is above your renal arteries, which take you to your kidneys. These are your kidneys right over here. Just south of the kidneys would be your infrarenal aorta. Okay, those are what those areas are. And then we are into your truly into your abdominal aortic area, and it splits into iliacs. Your iliacs are what are feeding your legs. Okay, you can have a left iliac and a right iliac. I'm going to have a little bit of a sneeze. Here it comes. Okay,
One
just
more.
one today. Sorry, just one. God, the other day I had seven. All right, just one. All right, so if you remember, the aorta encompasses our entire body and includes an arch, as we showed before, right? We've got the arch. And it includes ascending aortic area that comes up out of the heart, descending aortic zone, that's anything after the arch heading down, descending, traveling all the way down the abdomen and splitting into the two large arteries that supply our legs. Those are the femoral arteries. Okay, let's take a look at the cool cross section here of the aorta. This would be looking in the tube of the aorta. This is it. We're looking down. And what you see here is this aorta, this like incredible major highway of our body, the lifeline of our body, only has 3 layers. That's it. And according to surgeons working with these layers when they're doing surgery, they've described it as trying to suture wet, like tissue, like when you blow your nose, like Kleenex, That's like the consistency. It's not like it's this very fibrous, hard thing that you're working with. So very delicate. And what you have is the innermost layer, that's the intima, the innermost layer right here. Okay. The middle layer is called the media, and the outer layer is the adventitia. So typically, when you have a dissection, you're cutting through one of those layers. If you have a rupture, it's gone through all three, right? So this was a cross-section analysis of the aorta that shows that it's actually composed of the three beautiful layers, as Adam describes it, the intima or inner, the media or middle, and the adventitia or the outside layer. Another way that doctors actually look at the aorta um, is the aorta and standardize its anatomy is to classify it into zones. This is the first time I've actually really paid attention or heard the terminology putting it into zones. So Adam does include a great link to a graphic here about these zones. So let's take a look at these zones a little bit and listen to me really struggle to pronounce some of these words. All right, let's start off here. We have the aortic root. So this is right here at the valve of your heart. Okay, so just picture a heart right in this area. All right, so we've gone beyond the root. We know we are in the ascending, right? Because that's the part that comes out. And so this ascending area, take zone 0 is the ascending area that leads you to this delineation line of the innominate artery. This is the innominate artery. I did not know that's had its own artery. Then you move on to zone 1, and that is the innominate artery to the left common carotid, or LCC. Again, that's the second of the three branches that come off of the arch leading into your head. Then there's a small area here, zone 2, that takes you from that LCC to the left subclavian artery, or the LSA. Okay. Again, these are zones that the physicians, the surgeons, I'm assuming, are using to really get a good sense of when they need to create a graft, right? Do they need to create a graft that includes zone 0, 1, and 2? Well, that would mean innominate artery, your left carotid and your left subclavian, right? Because you're in zone 0, 1, and 2. All right, moving on to 3. Zone 3 is the first 2 centimeters distal to the left subclavian artery. That's all that is, just 2 centimeters worth. Zone 4 is truly in the descending artery right now. And zone 4 is actually zone 3 to the mid descending aorta. I'm not sure what T6 means. I don't understand that part. All right, zone 5. This says it's the mid descending aorta to the celiac. Okay. So right before the celiac, this is through the diaphragm and a little bit under the diaphragm. That is zone 5. Zone 6 is at the celiac artery to the superior mesenteric artery, SMA. So that's what you've got here for zone 6. Okay. These all sound like arteries that feed into your abdominal area. I don't know. I could be very wrong. No, I'm probably very wrong. More like diaphragm. I mean, I would be interested to know. I really don't know. Maybe Josh, you can pop and find out, where does the celiac artery lead to, and where does the superior mesenteric artery? I'm still thinking it's someplace in that area. Could have gotten that from Grey's Anatomy. I'm not really sure. But zone 8 is your renal arteries. That's your renal to infrarenal abdominal aorta. That's your zone 8. So zone 9 is your infrarenal abdominal aorta. That is post or south of your renal arteries. You had your suprarenal artery area was just above the beginning of that artery, below that black line. Okay. Zone 10. Now remember, we're in the abdominal area here. Zone 10 is your common iliac arteries. All right. And zone 11 is the external iliac arteries.
All
I
right,
don't know what the difference
let's
of
go
that
up
is.
again.
Yep.
The celiac artery provides oxygenated blood to the foregut, blood to the stomach, liver, spleen.
Right. And you know why I thought that? Because when you think about celiac disease, it's got to be in that area, right?
I
Okay, but
guess.
it also takes it to the spleen. And what does the superior mesenteric?
Oh, it's going to take me a bit to type that.
Okay, you find that. But the key here is having this standardized classification system actually helps your providers directly pinpoint where the aneurysms or the dissections, where they are and what they involve. Some high yield zones to remember are the following. Zone 1, which we're going to talk about this in a minute. So, okay, so zone 1, which we already mentioned, this is a high yield zone. The innominate artery, also known as the brachiocephalic trunk, which supplies blood to the right side of your brain and the right arm, and the left common carotid artery, which supplies blood to the left side of your brain. This is high yield. So this is high volume blood. This is a key critical area. If you end up having a dissection in this area, this is going to be definitely a very emergent situation, high yield. Zone 2 is the left subclavian artery, which gives off several arteries that supply your actual chest wall, your left arm and your left brain, another high yield area. So zone 1 and 2, right here, pretty important areas, high yield areas that are in the arch, okay? I'm not a physician, I'm just reading the information here. Okay. So let's just talk about what some of these areas are here at the very top portion of your aorta. Again, you've got your ascending aorta here with your root down here. Brachiocephalic trunk that splits into one of your common carotid arteries and subclavian right here. Then you have artery that goes right to common carotid and another one that goes to subclavian. And then now that you've moved past the arch, you're completely into descending aorta land, okay? Collectively, the innominate artery, left common carotid artery, and left subclavian arteries constitute the great vessels of the aorta. So all of those that branch off of that arch are the great vessels of the aorta. From zone 3 onwards, we're officially in the descending aorta area. Zone 6 and zone 7, your celiac trunk and your SMA, they provide blood to the major organs in your abdomen, including your stomach, liver, and intestines, which we were just looking up. See, it came after. All right. This is talking all about the celiac and the superior mesenteric, which is midgut or foregut. So I think this looks like this is probably like this 4-week-old embryo. Look, I was about to say it was a CT scan. So this is what it looks like in your 4-week-old embryo, where not everything is formed. Here it is in an adult. These are the different areas and where they're found. It's so interesting when you see the difference based upon gestational age and as an adult, where these areas would be found. So here in an embryo, you've got a much shortened aorta and your main branches are like pretty much the bulk of that aorta right there in the middle. Whereas you've got these 3 areas are spread out completely into the descending area. Okay, zone 8 is those renal vessels. They supply blood to your kidneys. And zone 10, the aorta splits into the common iliac arteries, which supply blood to your groin, your pelvis, your lower extremities, your reproductive organs, and your legs. And that's a lot, but very interesting because we just kind of talk every day about the aorta just being this big, massive vessel. But it is important to a lot of people to know details. It's definitely important to your physicians to understand the zones and where you've had issues. So if you get back a CT or an MRI, or even an echo that goes through zones, now you know what the zones are and you know what the zones mean. And so Adam goes on to say that I hope you have an incredible week. Stay warm and stay happy. When you have time, try looking at that beautiful graphic and see how much you can memorize, because he's probably going to quiz you. Cover the labels with your hands and see how much you get right. And so after all, the more you know aorta, the more you can think aorta. Oh my God, that's brilliant, Adam. The more you know aorta, the more you think aorta. And that's the key. We need to think aorta. So that was our
He does a
topic
killer job.
Tuesday.